Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Massucci, and today I am super excited for another edition of the show. Today it's just me. We're going to be talking about, we're doing Reaction Monday. You know, I haven't been very consistent with this podcast, but I'm starting to figure out what a good schedule would be. For the foreseeable future, there will always be a Monday and Tuesday podcast. Um, Mondays, we're going to do Reaction Monday, and that's just reacting to the week. And if there's nothing going on during a weekend, then I'm probably going to mention that in a Thursday show or a Tuesday show and one show that I'll have throughout the week and say there isn't a Reaction Monday. But Mondays are always going to be reaction to the current news, what's going on, like the main storylines of the week. And I feel like for the most part, it'll probably happen because there's so much sports news that goes on. For the most part, I believe there'll probably be a Monday show. For Tuesdays, we're going to strictly focus on NBA draft or NFL draft. I've been very locked into a scouting mindset when looking at college football and mostly college basketball. Like I have the board, I've looked at prospects, I've talked about prospects, all of that stuff. Tuesdays are really going to focus on, my thoughts on the upcoming NBA draft, my thoughts on the upcoming NFL draft, stuff like that. There'll be brief episodes focusing on certain prospects, certain traits that I've figured out, or it'll be psychology things in a book I read about Michael Jordan talking about some of the psychology traits that he had that I'll be looking out for now, stuff like that. So it's really going to vary off of that. But Tuesday shows will, for the most part, always happen unless I say something differently or post something differently or something like that. So Mondays and Tuesdays, you can expect Jake's takes. If there is another episode throughout the week, like when we're bringing guests, it'll be either on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, whenever I feel like scheduling it. There'll probably only be one additional show to that, just because 3 shows is a boatload to do every week. But for the most part, I'll try my best to give you guys the most content possible. But that's the plan going into this next phase of Jake's Takes, which I'm super excited for. And I'm super excited for today. The college football playoffs started, and I'm super happy to be back with you guys, able to talk about each game. I'm going to react to the first round, just talk about it a little bit, be a short podcast today. And so I'm excited for this episode. So without further ado, I'm going to cue the music. All right, let's jump right into it. College football first round. Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's talk about the group of 5 games first. I didn't really, again, I wasn't doing podcasts, so you didn't hear my opinions on college football too much throughout the year. But I was not a big fan of having 2 group of 5 teams in. It made sense with how the rules are happened, but in the future, why are we doing this? I get having one a little bit just because you want to make the group of 5 feel included and blah, blah, blah. But this is the problem when you have 5, the top 5 conference champions have to make it. That's where you get a Notre Dame's out or someone like that. And speaking of that, I didn't say my opinion on that. Notre Dame fans should not be upset about not getting in. Miami beat you fair and square. This is how the rules are set. They're gonna put 2 group of 5 teams in. Sorry, you didn't make it. Too bad. Join a conference. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about the playoff a little bit. Just grouping the group of 5 teams together, I didn't think they stood any chance. Ole Miss looked pretty good. You saw Chambliss go out in that game for a little bit. He came back in, played pretty well. I'm not taking too much out of that. It was, you're playing Tulane, a team you already beat by 40 early in the season. Summerall's leaving for the Florida job. So, I'm not taking too much out of that. Ole Miss smoked them. I'm excited to see their matchup against Georgia. Oregon, James Madison. James Madison made a comeback late, And Dan Lanning said after the game that Oregon wasn't playing up to the standard. It's something I want to take a look at. To be honest, I didn't watch many of these games. I really didn't. Like, I had it on for a second, saw the score, saw how much the group of five didn't stand a chance, and it didn't interest me, you know? And I'm I'm like a big time sports fan. I love college football, all of that, but I'm not going to watch a game where I know it's going to be a blowout. Just the truth, you know? And that's something the college football playoff has to fix, because I think they clearly saw it as a problem, and I think it is a clear problem. So it's definitely something needed to fix. Oregon still dominated the game, winning by 17, 51-34. Um, I'm I'm interested to see how they'll match up with Texas Tech. Oregon was playing better near the end of the year. They had stretches of being up and stretches of being down. I've heard the receivers are starting to get healthy, which is something I'm really interested in. Texas Tech has been one of my favorite teams. I mentioned them in my preview as my sleeper team of the year, and they're one of my favorite teams. So I'm really excited to preview that one, and I'll preview the games after I go through each one. I want to center on Alabama, Oklahoma. This was the game I really locked in on and was able to watch the whole game. For the most part, I went to bed before the fourth quarter because we had a big game against Michigan State the next day. Want to be rested up, but let's talk about this game a little bit. Start the game, Oklahoma looked awesome. You know, they went out and were balling. Mateer had some nice balls down the field. He really got Burks involved. It was the best I've seen Deion Burks look all year at the receiver position, and it was the best I've seen Mateer since the first couple weeks. A lot of people were talking about Mateer as, oh, he looks like Mahomes. You know, he's able to move outside the pocket. He's able to make all these throws where you're like, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. The thing about Mateers is that you get some highs where you're like, wow, like some of those balls, oh my gosh, like those are unbelievable throws. And then you're also going to get the downfall, which is what happened that kind of helped Alabama get right back into the game. Pick six, goes all the way down and scores. It tied the game at the end of the first half at 17. But the play that changed the game is Alabama going for it on fourth down 17-0 in the red zone. And they were able to score. Like, that was a play that changed the game. It was Grubb trusting his offense. It was DeBoer trusting Simpson to be able to get it done, and he was. Alabama, to me, they're a good team. I thought they deserved to make it. A lot of people thought they should have been more dinged for not performing in the SEC championship, which makes sense. I mean, they before this game they hadn't looked that good. They struggled at the end of the year against Auburn. They struggled at the end of the year against Oklahoma, losing that home game, and they got boat raced in the SEC championship game. But you give them a week off, you give them some time to get healed, and it really paid benefit for them. And the fact that they were able to bounce back the way they did in this game was really impressive to me. If we're looking at box score here, let me pull it up real quick. Ty Simpson was 18 of 29, 232, two touchdowns. I thought he was really good in this game. He was going through his reads really well. You could tell at the beginning of the game that he was really frustrated with the pressure that Oklahoma brings. And like, I didn't see the same burst from Oklahoma after that first quarter. Like, in the first quarter, it looked like Oklahoma was going to run away with the game. A lot of the time when I'm watching football, I'm looking at the lines and I'm like, okay, who's winning at the point of attack? And Oklahoma was destroying Alabama's line to start. And then Alabama like woke up and was able to really roll. It was super impressive. It's been really interesting seeing the downfall of Ryan Williams. Like, you saw him have a drop early in that game. We haven't seen him at all throughout the whole year. It's just something to keep your eyes on. Like, I don't know if he'll be back in Bama next year. I really don't, because there's a lot of scrutiny that's deserving on him right now, and other people have stepped up. This Brooks kid was sensational, and guess what? He's a true freshman. He's not going anywhere. Isaiah Horton, stud. He's been there a while, but he's an absolute stud. And then Bernard is a great receiver for them as well. I like Bama. I mean, they're my preseason pick to win it all, but I don't think they're winning it all. I really don't. Like, this was a great bounce back win. Being able to do this in Oklahoma was really impressive. To me, I just think Indiana is 10 times better than them. I really do. I think Indiana has an unbelievable defense. I think their running attack is really good. They got two backs that are flat out unbelievable. And then you got Fernando Mendoza, who's the Heisman winner for a reason. Every test Mendoza has been put under, he has passed with flying colors and has been unbelievable. Okay. And you're telling me that you get Alabama coming to you, a team that's, been up and down, has a really good offense. They can't run the ball at all. I feel like this is the Big Ten's time to prove to the SEC that you can't compete with the big dogs, and that's part of the reason I want Indiana to win personally, because even though I don't mind the SEC, I do think there's a lot of people that have SEC bias that are like, oh, the SEC is still going to win it no matter what. Yeah, well, these Big Ten teams at the top are legit. Like Indiana's legit, Ohio State's legit, and Oregon's legit. Um, so I think, to me, Indiana's a better team. Like defensively, they're all over the place. I think they're one of the best defenses in college football, up there, right up there with Texas Tech and Ohio State. Ohio State's probably got the most talent, but Indiana, like the physicality wise, it's not even a discussion here. It's just unbelievable. And then if you're looking at it, like Alabama's defense, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to stop them. It wasn't like they stopped Mateer. Mateer threw for 307. He hasn't done that in a long time. Yes, Mateer looked more healthy. And yes, they were able to stop the run. Like Oklahoma was not able to run the ball. Mateer had 19 carries, 15 yards, which a lot of that includes sacks and all of that. But their main running back, Troy Baylock, was 11 carries, 36 yards. That's 3 yards a carry. And they were able to slow it down. So if Bama's able to slow down the run, that's absolutely huge. But then you got to deal with Mendoza. If Mateer's throwing for 307 on you and Mendoza's got his weapons back, like that's scary. That is flat out scary for Indiana, for Alabama. So to me, I got Indiana. I was telling everybody to pick Indiana when they were playing Ohio State before. We have no record of it because I did not record it, but it's all right. It is what it is. I thought it was a great year for Oklahoma. Big bounce back year for them. I credit Venables a lot. Like he's really brought that program back. And if you bring back Mateer and you got that offensive coordinator whose name is slipping my mind right now, that came with him from Washington State, Mateer that is. I think Oklahoma's going to be right back in this discussion next year because like Venables has proven that he's got guys that will play really, really hard for him. He's got an unbelievable defense with a physical mentality. And then you got one of the most talented quarterbacks in college football. Like Mateer, when healthy, is that. So I was very impressed with Oklahoma. They just kind of lost the zing a little bit near the end of the game. And I think Bama and Oklahoma are both good teams. I think Bama's just going to run into one of the best teams in college football next week. So that's why I wouldn't have them after that. Let's switch over to Miami, Texas A&M. As you guys know, Oakland was playing Michigan State during the time of this game. And I came into this game and I was like, gosh, of course they put Miami and Texas A&M in the noon slot, like right when we're playing against Michigan State. I won't be able to watch this game, and this is the game I'm looking forward to the most. Well, the final score was 10-3, and it was a very boring game from what I can gather. I was able to catch the end of it because because college basketball games are way shorter than college football games. It's just how it goes. It's how it goes. But Miami was able to sneak out 10-3, and there was not much movement of the ball in this game. You knew both these defenses would be very talented and very tough to deal with. And that's just how it is, Texas A&M has always had a great defense throughout the whole year. They're a really good pass rushing team, and there's been times where they've been up and down, but overall they're a tough defense. And then if you're looking at the beginning of the year, I mean, I talked about it after week 1. Miami's got an absolute stud defense. They have so many guys that are treated as first round prospects. You got Bain on the edge, and you also got Messidor on the other edge. Those are two guys that are just going to NFL scouts are going to be drooling over. Like, they absolutely love them. And then the thing about Miami, and I was talking about this with someone on the Oakland team, but the thing about Miami is when they went into their slight near the end of the year, they weren't using Malachi Tony that much. And Malachi Tony has been a dynamic receiver for them. True freshman, was unbelievable in their first couple of weeks when they were beating these teams of Notre Dame. They were beating Florida. They were beating all these teams. And at the time, like, we thought, oh, South Florida's good. Florida's good. Oh, Notre Dame's really good. Like, these are big time wins for Miami. And you're seeing Malachi Tony dominate in these games. Then Miami goes in slights, and Carson Beck's throwing a lot of picks, and things aren't going well. You're seeing Beck saying the press conference afterwards, like, "Oh, the receiver ran the wrong route, blah blah blah. I threw the pick because of that." I'm not a fan of those comments, but but there's one thing that a lot of people weren't talking about, and that was the targets for Malachi Tony went way down. And that was something interesting to me. I was like, why aren't they using him that much? He's unbelievable. And then Miami starts coming back up, and you're like, okay, if they keep winning, they'll be able to make the playoff. And that last game against Pitt, like, they dominated and looked awesome throughout the whole game. You're like, okay, Miami looks back. They look ready to go. And that's part of the reason what propelled them into this. And going into Texas A&M, they were able to rely on their defense. They weren't turning the ball over. They were able to run the ball a little bit. Fletcher Jr. with an unbelievable game, 17 carries, 172 yards. And the thing is they got Malachi Tony involved. He was just flat out unbelievable in this game. They were able to use him on the edge. They ran him a little bit. He had 3 carries, 9 yards. He was struggling to get going. But the thing is as a returner, he's dynamic. When you use him as running, he's dynamic. And they tried to get him the ball a lot. 5 receptions, 22 yards. And at the end of the game, you needed a play to make something happen. Guess what? They went to their guy, Malachi Tony. He got it done. He scored for him. And that's what happens, man. On the Texas A&M side, an unbelievable year for them. Marcel Reed is a guy that really surprised me. Like, I was impressed with how good he was throughout the year. But near the end of the year, you saw some signs where you were like, what's going on with him? Like, that Texas game, he looked really confused. He was throwing some bad balls. And I was like, okay, this is something to take note of. And then going into the playoff, when I saw they drew Miami, I was like, this is not a good matchup, because Miami's strength is their defense. Their strength is bringing pressure. And when Marcel Reed faces pressure, he struggled. That Texas front really gave him a hard time. Miami's got a really good front too. And they really made it difficult on Reed throughout the whole game. He went 25 for 39, 237, 2 interceptions, and it was a struggle. I listened to a lot of Todd McShay, and McShay was saying it all year where he loved, like, some of the stuff that Marcel Reed could do, how athletic he was, all that stuff. But there are times where he can just misread the situation and try to make a play happen where it's not there. And, that can come back to bite him. And he thought it would come back to bite him. And I credit him. That's why I listen to a lot of McShay, because I think he's really smart. He was dead on with this one. And he threw the 2 picks, and it was a tough game for him. I love some of A&M's weapons. Casey Concepcion has been a guy that everybody's been raving about throughout the year. He had a great season this year. I'm very high on what Mark Elko has done with this team. Like, this is nowhere near where Texas A&M was before this. Remember, they had the Jimbo thing, all of this stuff, and guess what? Like, A&M they are so back, like, so back. I'm very impressed with what they did this year. And I'm very excited to see how they'll look next year. Can you keep Marcel Reed? Can you keep all these defensive weapons? Like, their defense looked better. Last year, the problem was the defense. They definitely fixed that problem this year. It looks a lot better than it did before. But there is a step up that they can take. So I'm excited to see A&M next year. I think they'll be a clear, like, top of the SEC team, where you're looking at, like, Mark Elko as one of those great coaches in college football. So I'm very excited to see it from A&M. A tough way to go out this year. They had a really tough matchup in Miami. But if you're looking at it, you're either getting Miami or Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame beats you on your home field too. So tough draw for A&M. but that's how the college football playoff goes. You're playing against tough teams. So, all right. Let's look at the rest of the playoff, and I'm going to give you guys my prediction. I'm going to do it off the top of my head, just what I feel from throughout the season. So the noon game on January 1st, actually, let's put it in order here. The December 31st game, 7:30, is Ohio State versus Miami. I felt like that whoever won this game of Miami or Texas A&M was just running into an Ohio State team that is ticked off about how they played in the Big Ten championship. And Ohio State's the most talented team. That's the second year in a row where they are the most talented team. So I'm taking Ohio State in this. I think Miami's a really good defense, and I feel like they're going to give Sam problems, but I don't trust Carson Beck to respond to those problems. Like, Beck didn't do that much, you know? Uh, he threw for 102, one touchdown. He didn't turn the ball over, which is huge, but this is the best defense that Carson Beck's going to see all year. Notre Dame's defense is not what it was last year, you know? Um, so, like, I'm nervous to see Carson Beck against a really good defense. And I think even if Ohio State's offense isn't flowing the way they normally do, I don't think it's going to matter because I think their defense is so talented. So I got Ohio State over Miami here. Looking at Ole Miss and Georgia, actually, no, let's go Oregon, Texas Tech. So Oregon, Texas Tech here. These are two teams that are really interesting. Oregon's the team that's hot. They've been rolling. You know, their only loss was to Indiana. They didn't make the Big Ten championship game. They're the sexy pick. Everybody's picking them. I'm going Texas Tech here. I love Texas Tech's defense. I think it's the best in the country. Like, they have so many guys, David Bailey, Jacob Rodriguez. Like, they just play so tough and so physical. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, the Big 12 wasn't that good this year. Oh, Texas Tech, really good defense. They're not going to be able to score offensively." Barry Morton is a good quarterback. He's been there. He's done it. He's just really composed, like, I feel like he's looking at that Utah game where he didn't play to his standard, got hurt in the game. Will Hammond came in and did his job and did everything right. He's looking at that game and he's like, okay, now I get a big moment. I'm playing in the college football playoff. I'm playing against Oregon. This is my last year here. I got to show something. And I think he is. I think he's good enough to show something here. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is if Texas Tech will be able to run the ball against Oregon's front, because Oregon has been really good against the run. They've been one of the better defenses in the country. But I trust Baron Morton to make plays here. I think Dante Moore is a very, very good quarterback, and I think he's going to make this a really, 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 really close game. But I trust Texas Tech here. I really think this defense is going to give more problems. And then I think Baron Morton is going to be able to hit some receivers over the top and create plays for Texas Tech. So I got Tech here. Next game, January 1st, 4 o'clock, you got Indiana, Alabama. I talked about it a lot. I think Indiana is just a little better. I'm just going to stick my Indiana pick there. Okay, Sugar Bowl, last game, 8 o'clock. You got Georgia versus Ole Miss. I think everybody's picking Georgia, and I think that's the right pick. Gunnar Stockton is probably the most trustworthy quarterback in this, which is crazy to say, but it's not, because every time this guy faces adversity, he has come through. Every time. The Tennessee game, you're down most of the game. The whole crowd's buzzing against you. Guess what? He turns up, he makes plays, he does everything right. Like, he's just a gritty player that I really like watching play football. I don't think Ole Miss defense is very good. They're one of those defenses where you're like, I mean, it was more like Trinidad Chambliss doing stuff. It was more Lane Kiffin calling the plays. Lane's not there to call the plays anymore. You got a Georgia defense that's starting to roll under Kirby Smart. I'm taking Georgia there. So you got 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Okay. So I'm going to go Indiana over Texas Tech. And I think that's more just trusting Mendoza here over Morton. And I also think Indiana's defense with their physicality is going to bug the crap out of Texas Tech. I think it's more physical than Oregon. And I think Morton will struggle with that aspect. And I also think, like, Mendoza, you saw him do what he did against Ohio State, who I think is the best, like the most complete defense in the country, talent wise. You got Caleb Downs, who's a flat out stud. You got Arnell Reese, another flat out stud. So I trust Mendoza in that situation, and that's why I got Indiana. And then Georgia, Ohio State. I think Georgia wins. I think Gunnar Stockton really clutches up here and gets the job done. I can't wait to really preview that game and lock in on like some of the details on why I think that. But watching these teams all year, I just trust Georgia a little more in that situation, and I think they get the job done. If you're looking at Ohio State's schedule, this isn't like anything against Ohio State, but like they really the only good team. Well, okay. So Texas, really good team. It's the first game of the season. That was a very gritty win and an awesome win. Okay. You keep going through the schedule, and there's nobody that's near Texas's standard until Indiana. And Indiana punched them in the mouth and shocked them in that game and won. Now you're going to play a Georgia team that can do the same thing. And I feel like you bounce back, you get your bounce back done, you beat Miami, and that's why you got a game where it's like, okay, you're playing Georgia. Like, these are the two bullies. If you're looking at the last championships, Ohio State won the last one, Michigan won the last one, then Georgia won 2 in a row before that. These are, in the last 4 years, 2 of the last 4 champions. 2 of the last 3 champions. That's who it is, because Georgia has 2, Michigan, and then Ohio State. I think Georgia wins this battle, and it's because of Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart has done it before. So has Ryan Day. Ryan Day has gone through all the challenges. Guess what? Brian Hartline's gone. He's gone. He's not there anymore. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think Ryan Day will call the plays and everything will be fine. But you're going against Kirby Smart defense that has figured it out. They're rolling on defense. And Gunnar Stockton's on the other end, and every test he's gotten, he has passed. And I don't really think that's going to change against Ohio State. I really don't. I think Ohio State will be challenged. And every time I've seen them challenged, like taking a step back. The only time I saw them take a step up with that challenge was last year during the playoff, throughout the whole playoff. I mean, they just jumped out. Like, I never saw them in a close game. And Georgia plays close games. And that's where it is. I trust Georgia in a close game more than I trust Ohio State. Probably if you're going through the whole field and you're saying it's a close game, last 2 minutes, I trust Georgia more and I trust Indiana more than Ohio State. And that's what I see the game going down to against Georgia. So that's my main reasoning. I don't know if it's concrete. I don't know. I don't know everything. But that's why I'm taking Georgia over Ohio State. Okay, Georgia, Indiana. I got Indiana winning the chip. I think this is Curt Cignetti's year. Cignetti would have gotten them through a gauntlet already, and I think Indiana gets the job done. A lot of people are picking Georgia. I'm more hoping that Indiana would get the job done after Georgia. If I'm going with my mind, I might think that Georgia would win that game because Georgia's going through a gauntlet before. Ole Miss, I don't know if it's a gauntlet, but Ohio State is a gauntlet in itself. So I'm more hoping Indiana. If my mind was saying it, I might think Georgia. But yeah, I really think those games would be so good. Like, that's the 4 I want, and if Oregon wins against Texas Tech, great. Like, it is what it is. If I get Oregon, Indiana, and then Ohio State, Georgia, that'd be awesome. 3 Big Ten teams. I don't think Oregon's going to win, but this playoff is much more exciting. I will say that. I'm very excited to see it. I'm excited to see where all the matchups take us. It's really, really, really fun to have college football back like this. All right, that is going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you're at. I will be back at you guys on Tuesday. We will have our draft show. It'll be similar to this one. I'll talk about some prospects and stuff, so I'm excited for that. Catch you guys soon. Peace.